We are rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Creative Businessmen. This is part 2 of the episode with Eric Trundy and Tom Simmons. And it's going to be a fun episode. We talk about a lot of crazy stuff, plus we talk about some COVID things. We talk about the vaccine. We talk about comedy. It's a good episode. I want to be clear that anything that we say on this show, we're not doctors, we're not scientists, we're just people with opinions or ideas, and we're also open-minded. So we're always, our ideas and our opinions are always apt to change, and change is a natural thing. Everything evolves. So, don't get real attached to stuff that we say on the show, and also we're not giving you advice. We're just trying to figure this thing out just like you guys are. And if you do have an issue with something we say, put it in the comments. We'll check it out, and tell us why you feel the way you feel about it, because that's what this is about. This show is all about conversations, because I think that's what's important in society, is that we can talk about everything, and there should be no issue that we're not allowed to talk about or discuss, because that's how we figure things out. And so I hope you guys enjoy the show. Be sure to like and subscribe, and here we go.
So, like the paranoia of school shootings, for me, right? It's a safe place for your children. It should be.
Should be.
So they disarm your son when he goes to school.
Well, we homeschool.
Oh, so you don't.
So it's a right to carry school.
When they were doing the online school, and I would do that, I'd burst in there and do some like homeschool shooting drills and stuff with a Nerf gun and be like,
yeah,
you're not ready. You're not ready for this.
Yeah, my 10-year-old can teach you how to take apart my gun. So, but different things for different people.
It's literacy. He'll be a responsible.
He's an engineer. He's going to be
Is he still building that robot?
It's not because he can take apart my gun because he wants to know how to shoot you with it. It's because he wants to know how the gun operates. Yeah. He's got a very mechanical mind.
Is he still building that robot he was trying to...
yeah, dude. He's
probably built many since then.
He built stuff all the time. While Neil was down there, he built, I think, was it while you were there? He built, I can't remember what it's called, but some type of self-propelling thing for the water.
Like a crane or something.
Yeah, and then he switched it to a crane, and then he made one that flew.
Does he have a YouTube channel?
No, he wants one, but I've been like, dude, I'm telling you this.
You say you know a production company that can make
Yeah, I do.
help him with that.
What were you saying?
But so with the school
he could
thing,
help other kids to do that stuff.
I think what you're worried about is that I think the first rule should be like do no harm, right? Well, the problem is that you put too many guns in school. At what point is there more harm done by those guns designed to protect than there are that are by not having them? And so literally this is where the argument gets political, but it's like, if on average X number of students are shot per year, and having armed teachers, maybe trained teachers that are armed, maybe that's a better solution because they're less likely to have the PTSD associated with being a police officer or ex-military, etc. Right? So maybe you have some level of that.
Like the gym coach.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, but
the only problem,
maybe there's 30 people that. So if 30 kids died. But on average, there were 100 a year dying, but 30 died. Each side would tear each other apart over the 30 kids. And I agree it should be 0. Mm-hmm. We all agree it should be 0, but 30 is better than 100. But the problem is there's so many politics and design that you can't say, well, there's on average 100 children a year being murdered in school, and we've gotten that down to 30. The problem is they're going to make it a political talking point. We all agree the number should be 0.
Yeah, I think the key with the security in schools, though, you don't want the people that are armed to be obvious either. So,
the most armed teacher we've ever had is Vishnu, and nobody listened to Vishnu.
Damn it, Tom.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows who Vishnu is.
Vishnu probably says Vishnu had a lot of arms. Remember?
Yeah, we understand the joke.
the Hindu god.
We got it through context, Tom.
Would teach us that change comes from within.
He would probably be good with a gun, though.
Or multiple shooter. Bam, 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 bam. You got an AR-15? Fuck you. I got 6 Colt revolvers.
You talked about living in Atlanta for 3 months. You were writing on that show. How was that? I haven't watched the show yet. Is it good?
I don't know. I haven't either.
I heard it's good.
I have too.
Some people.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It was
so
a funny
you wrote
show
for
to write.
Miss Pat?
Yes,
the Miss Pat show.
Hell yeah. It was a lot of fun and a lot of. I make myself miserable. That's what I do. You know what I mean? I'm a complainer, but it's somehow part of my creative process to sort of argue things through and to be like. But I'm also very passionate and sort of like Steve Jobs level dickhead about like if a word I think belongs in another place. I'm like, it's better. It's even if it's 2% better. I want that.
You'll die on that hill.
And I'm not. And
that's not a bad thing.
But
though.
I'm just a staff writer. I'm not. You know what I mean? It's shut the fuck. And I'm the only white face. And it that stuff didn't occur to me until I was in that situation. And it was like, oh, I'm the overbearing.
You're the minority, so you should
get
get preferential treatment, I think.
Well, yes, that's an issue. I had the same thing, I think. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it just I didn't mesh as good as I would have liked to with everybody, but it was still fun. I wrote.
Yeah, but that's probably has nothing to do with race and more to do with your personality.
Exactly, right? Because I'm kind of
you have no joy. There's no joy in your life. What brings you joy, Tom?
Jokes.
Just jokes.
Sounds like meditation, though. And peace.
Yes, that brings
peace.
Brings some peace. Being at a beach brings me peace and joy.
I agree with that. The Blue Mind. You should read The Blue Mind. Halfway, 50% of it.
Yeah. The Blue Mind. And
that's your thing.
No. I normally read all. That's why I stopped in this one because it was like that. Might have been where I hit the wall where it's like, here's how we affect change. You know what? Fuck it. You know what I mean? I can't worry about that shit anymore. I don't believe we're going to be here in 5 years.
But you're not. You don't seem like an angry guy. Like you seem pretty calm and collective.
That's what I was telling my wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she's like, no, you're very tense to be around. I'm like, but I'm always, you know what I mean? I feel like
you're tense, but you're not like way up here.
Yeah.
You're just.
I feel bullish.
You're like calm and tense at the same time.
It flows through me intensely, like the anger or whatever, and then it sort of goes away. You know.
So
it goes away for you, but you change the tone of a room with the people around you.
Yes. So
you're a lot to be around. I'm a lot to be around. I feel like if you're a strong personality, you're a lot to be around. Are you reading The Blue Mind now? Is that what you're into?
I read it a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I think it's
Blue
called The Blue
Mind.
What's
Blue
it about?
Mind. It's about the effect of the ocean on the human mind.
The surprising science that shows how being near, in, on, or underwater can make you happier, healthier, more connected, and better at what you do.
It's a good book.
All
It's been a while since I read it. So I think in general we agree on a lot. I don't think everybody, like you said, you don't know if you're going to be here in 5 years. I think I'm going to be one of those in 5 years. I also think I've got some kind of weird paranoia shit going on where everything's going digital, right? And Neil's going to debate this point.
Let's go.
But everything's going digital, right? And eventually I think people are going to forget how to write.
That's possible.
I don't think you're going to know how to take that pen and write and communicate with individuals because of technology. So it may take a few more generations, but I think because of digital technology, we won't understand how to use a pen and a paper. It will be obsolete.
You won't have to because of the neuro science.
Yeah, but check this out. Then somebody's going to hit.
I think it changes creatively how you think.
It does.
They're going to hit the delete button though. 3 years, 3 generations, 4 generations, 5, 10 generations. Somebody's going to wipe it out, and whatever remaining population's left is going to have to figure out. There's not going to be any more technology. They're going to have to start over, and they're going to start by drawing pictures on rocks in caves, right? Like there's going to be a master reset. That's what I think's coming.
So I think
on some level,
I think we've
already done that before. By the way,
I don't think it will be.
Me too.
Well, I don't think it'll be possible to do that because I don't think any one person or individual can control all the technology. I think it'll be so individualized and so decentralized, and also the technology.
You're an optimist as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
the
only
thing you say about technology, how it's exponentially growing?
It's exponential. So
yeah, well, you don't think it's possible yet, but it's exponential. Give it time.
Well,
in 300 years, what's possible?
Well, I mean, we probably won't even be human in 300 years.
Exactly. We're going to hit the delete button and reset because somebody's going to be upset that we're not human anymore. We're going to call him Jesus.
So likely in 30 years or so, people will be able to communicate telepathically and just share ideas directly through technology.
That's awful.
We'll be merged.
Awful. No.
Well, maybe not. I mean,
make your case.
I don't even want to read most people's Facebook posts.
Yeah, but
I would just be walking around all day just going, I just like the shit I yell at my computer. Like, are you fucking kidding me with that? Like, there's no delete button that I can hit after I fucking type it up. It just goes straight to them. And they're like, you know what I mean? Like I'm walking into Starbucks and I hear a guy in an interview say, well, I do things unconventionally, and I'm just like, out loud I say, he means wrong. He does shit wrong. Like, I already do that. I don't want to know your thoughts.
So I think as long as we teach writing, it's going to be a thing. I think we're
Well, we've already stopped really
They brought it back, though.
Cursive?
Yeah, they brought handwriting back. Yeah.
For now.
So, but I think, I do think there's some possible truth to that, though, that we won't need to write to communicate. I mean, communication. It evolves. It always
Writing
has.
is communication to myself.
You know, artwork was the original writing.
I read an article that said that they don't think that we're going to that in 2 generations we won't conceive babies the way that we conceive them now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a
this
book.
This is all lunacy to me. When you guys
that.
talk about 2 generations,
not even
shit from
not
now,
even that really.
I'm way more pessimistic than you guys. Like when I said 5 years, I think I'm being kind of optimistic. I think extinction is coming.
You should
as
get
soon
a gun.
as the Arctic finishes melting, we're fucked. That's what I think. We've had this debate where you're telling me it's going to work, but the level of shit in the atmosphere, it's
probably this decade.
We got to take the vegetarians
Probably
out.
this decade, they're going to bring back woolly mammoths.
They're farming.
They really are. The vegetarians are eating the shit that's cured.
I'm a vegetarian.
They eat CO2. They're fucking us all.
Hey Tom, this decade they will probably bring back the woolly mammoth.
For what?
I can't wait to find out how they taste.
Because
I can't wait to see how the fur feels. You know,
that's a joke my son wrote, by the way.
you don't eat elephant. Come on.
I mean, I'm a vegetarian. I don't understand.
Well, the thought is they can. I think they're going to put them in somewhere in the northern hemisphere, but they.
Oh, they're going to bring them back and like put them out there, huh?
Yeah, and it'll help with warming. So when they walk on the permafrost, it melts and refreezes. So it actually contributes to climate reform, I guess.
I like that. I've never heard this.
They're using CRISPR. They've got DNA from real woolly mammoths, like 10,000-year-old DNA, and now they can use CRISPR to genetically modify, I think it's Asian elephants, and make hybrid woolly mammoths that they can release in the wild, and it will actually help
Tom, we're getting
with the warming issue.
Have you collected your DNA yet?
Dude, I definitely need an AR-15 if I've got. There's
See?
woolly mammoths running around.
Well, this won't be here.
I'm not worried about.
This will be like on the tundra, but
whatever. I'm not.
Well, I hate
a
to tell
tech
you,
startup
Arctic
just
tundra.
received $15 million to resurrect the woolly mammoth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your AR is not going to take down a woolly mammoth, by the way. There's a study about obese males, and it's so many pounds. Like if you were such a pound of obese that the bullet actually wouldn't make it through the fatty tissue, right? So you're going to have to go up a higher caliber weapon to be able to do that. But you need to. There's a thing, and I think it's like,
gun.
yeah, you're going to have to go up because it's the same thing. If I was like 900 pounds and you shot me in a fatty part, it's not got enough velocity, enough power to go through my body actually. So. You know
like a guy like Ralphie May, he like wore like a bulletproof 4 layers of skin.
That's right, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, you got to have really thick skin, and then, you know, this is completely off subject, but let me say this because this is fucking kind of embarrassing.
Really, because most gun owners don't have thick skin.
Yeah, I've got exceptionally thick skin. So I was giving myself a shot in the ass. B12, is that what it take? The B12 shots, I think, once a week.
okay, yeah,
I
think so.
I don't believe in that B12 crap.
Yeah, it's, vitamins. Fuck that shit. But anyway, so what's happened is, even though I'm a little puffy right now, overall, I'm still down about a little less than 100 pounds, right? I think my skin is thicker because it's not, like, think about a balloon that expands. You know how it stretches, it gets really thin?
Right.
When the balloon comes back down, it's, like, thicker. That's
yeah.
the way my skin feels. So I go to put the needle in, I'm like it's like not going through my skin. Like my skin has gotten thicker.
Weird. He's like, oh man, I'm turning into a superhero.
Yeah.
I'm having to like really push. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Maybe
But-
there's just less fat to push in, and you're running into some muscle or something.
Oh, there's no muscle there.
Okay.
There's no. Very little muscle there. I think it's just fat and skin.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I'd love to know if you got fat and lost the weight, if your skin is thicker.
I'm sure there's got
Well,
to
you
be.
know, I think,
your body
you know,
had to make more skin to expand, right?
I think there's something to that because when I was competing in bodybuilding, the competitors that would get way out of shape off season, when they would diet back down, they never looked quite as lean. And I always thought, you know, because you can gain fat cells, your body will generate new fat cells, but it can't get rid of them. They just shrink. So it seems like if you gain a bunch of fat cells off season and then you try to diet back down, your skin's going to look different because you have more fat cells. Even though they're tiny, they shrink
But
back
doesn't the
down.
skin replace itself every 7 years anyway?
Well, your whole body does.
Yeah.
But you still will have that same number of fat cells.
It's interesting stuff. See how I changed the subject there? It's awesome because woolly mammoths was.
I'm still thinking about woolly mammoths. I'm just hoping they.
How
do
big
like,
is censor yourself if you're under a certain age. You shouldn't be watching this anyway, most likely. But how big is a woolly mammoth dick? I just want to know. Like, is that a bigger?
It's mammoth.
It's mammoth size.
Mammoth.
Like, are we gonna have like the mammoth burgers? Are we gonna change it up?
Probably. I just hope they like make them look cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like tie dye the fur or some shit. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
wouldn't
Like
that
make
be
it
all,
real
you know that
trippy.
they can do that with the CRISPR technology. You can pick the hair color.
That way, when
My
we
son-
do start hunting them again and making them into rugs, they'll already be cool
I want a
looking.
pet. I'm gonna name him Wonka.
I want unicorns.
Willy Wonka mammoth.
I want to change the Willy Wonka. I want to change the horses so that they have a
Unicorn horn.
unicorn horn, and my son Cameron would
They
love
can probably
to
do
show
that now.
Yeah, I bet they could.
Yeah, he would
Confident.
love that. He
Yeah.
wants a pony. I'm like, look, he's not gonna have a horn. He's like, we can put one on there. I'm like, no, you can't do that. He's like, why not? I'm like, because you can't. You can't just add a horn. He's like, well, we can make a horn hat. So you want your
Just strap one on.
I'm sure someone's done that.
Is it-
He's on a list online. Whoever did that. I was watching this documentary the other day. I love whales, orca
I
whales.
thought you said wheels.
Yeah, that's why I say it that way,
funny.
because nobody knows what the fuck I'm saying. I'm like, I love wheels. They're like, you're really into tires. But I was watching this documentary about beluga whales, and they found the narwhals, the ones with the
yeah,
big
narwhals.
fucking-
Yeah.
So this one was by himself and then ran into a pod of belugas, and cut two, they're all fucking hanging out together. Like, how cool is that? You know what I
That
mean? Like,
is
he's the
awesome.
one weird one with all the other ones. You know, he's just got the fucking...
Well, he's the one with the sword out of his
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
So,
You can tell him.
Hey, you better hope the opposition doesn't want to get rid of his weapon.
Right.
Forcibly
You just got to
remove it.
pass a competency exam,
Yeah.
and he'll be fine. He can carry that wherever he wants.
Which one's this giant? Like, is that the thing that has the long sword?
Yeah, the long
Yeah.
one horn.
Out of the head.
It's
out
a
of the head.
tooth.
Oh, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the
It's actually
shark.
it's actually
the
a
shark
tooth.
that has the,
Oh no.
the really long, like, double-sided.
Oh yeah. It's like a saw
Hammerhead?
almost.
Yeah, it's like a saw.
Yeah, I know which one you're
Oh,
talking about.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
understand.
we
It's
got
not
way
that-
off the fucking...
Yeah, we did.
This is an actual
Captain.
whale that has a long. It's a tooth, but it's like a spire. It looks
Yeah.
like a unicorn horn, but it's really long. And it's
Yeah,
just
so-
a very sharp.
Does he ram
spike.
stuff and poke it, and then
Yeah, they fish with it.
he's
They'll
got a
hit.
fish kebab?
They hit fish with it and shock them. Yeah.
It's called a
I
goblin.
did this a lot. I
Narwhal.
did this a lot on the Miss Pat show too. I'd pitch 100 jokes to get 9. You know,
That's all right.
on the
That's
show.
a good success ratio. It's
That's
better
not
than
bad.
it's better than COVID.
Yes.
All right. What are you looking up now, Tom?
I had a text from my wife, so I was just texting her.
I had a brother, by the way, that works for the military. I'm not gonna say his name. And
You
he
have or you had?
I had. He died from the COVID vaccine, but no, I'm just. It's a bad joke.
I like dark jokes.
But no. So he got the vaccine when it first came out, and he got the second round, and then obviously he was one of the few breakthrough cases that ended up hospitalized afterwards because he got COVID again.
Was it your brother?
Yeah,
But he's
I don't want to say which one, but yeah,
How
very
many you
unhealthy
got?
though, right?
yeah, I got 3. Huh?
Very unhealthy though, right? Was it?
No.
Okay.
Oh no, I mean, well, I guess it's relative, but
Right.
I mean,
Literally.
he's an officer,
brother.
Yeah. But the point is that he ended up back hospitalized with COVID again, and so like for me, it's just funny. It's like if I don't take my Claritin, right, and you come in here, I'm taking my Claritin rather, and you come in and you're not taking your Claritin, and I start sneezing, like, goddamn, I guess you should take. If you stop taking your Claritin, it affects me negatively. Like that's why
It's a little different. Yeah.
If my vaccine doesn't work, why? If your vaccine doesn't work, why the fuck should I get one? Right? Get me a vaccine that works. Like that's my thing. Like, oh, it's rare. It's a breakthrough case. Wait a second.
Well, here's the thing.
Becoming more common.
With the vaccine, and this is factual. It's actually an article I sent you about the booster shots. If you've got the vaccine,
There's a third booster coming, by the way.
you are 99.9999% likely to not die from COVID.
Yes.
So it does eliminate your risk of death unless something's really wrong with you.
What's the
like your
efficacy rate of birth control?
Not high
probably the
enough.
same as the vaccine,
Yeah,
but
babies
They
are
got two
born
vaccines.
all the time on birth control, right? Like it's like
so they say.
that's how I feel.
That's Planned Parenthood.
Some of those women aren't wearing their masks.
I did see a picture today of a school they were abusing these children, and they had these like 4 and 5 year olds with masks on, and I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
No, I do.
I'm sort of annoyed that I
do
have
agree
to
with
wear. I was sort of annoyed again when the masks came back, and I was like,
That's where I see
I've got
power.
the vaccine. I don't want to wear a mask just because
It's because
somebody else won't.
your vaccine doesn't work. That's why you have to wear the mask.
Well, here's the thing. I think,
Right?
in a society when you have a treatment for something, whether it's a vaccine or a medication, if there's a way to treat something and everyone has access to it, it should be business as normal. Because it's not going to go away. There's always going to be things in life, in nature, that want to eat you or kill you or whatever.
I got a question.
I haven't been sick in 2 years
What's
because of washing my hands.
What's the vaccine? Some of the stuff that vaccines actually eliminated, like polio and things like that, right?
autism?
The measles, mumps, polio.
They got a malaria
Clip,
one now.
Malaria.
clip that
Malaria.
little piece of Tom saying autism for me, because I'm going to make that. I'm going to put that online.
I like it.
The biggest one was
But my point is that if only part of the population getting it didn't cure polio, we'd have this. The vaccine doesn't
polio's
work,
basically gone now.
right? Because the vaccine works, right?
I don't know the science.
This
on that.
COVID, the COVID vaccine does not work efficiently because it doesn't stop you from getting COVID.
It's different though because it's a different type of disease.
Sure.
So
it's a flu shot every year. I got it.
well, the flu is the same type of thing.
I agree. You got to get a booster every year. That's what's going to happen.
The flu shot is only. So you're not likely to. If you get the flu shot, you could still very easily get the flu, but it's likely to only be maybe 50% as bad of an experience. So you're not going to die from the flu if you have the flu shot. The same thing with the COVID vaccine. It's not 100%. It's just going to prevent you from severe illness.
Which is why you still have to wear your mask.
And that's what doesn't make any sense. That's a power move. That's when I see stuff like that. That's people.
Yeah.
That's humans trying to control other humans for no reason.
Right.
It's unnecessary power. It's a power move. But
I like wearing my mask because I get cold sores.
and also
That's the best.
you know what I mean? Like, boom, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
and also I think
this is way cheaper than Blistex.
and it's
I don't even brush my teeth anymore. Fuck it. You got something in your teeth? Really?
You got amazing teeth. I can see them from here. What are you talking about? This guy takes pride in that.
That's
mouth.
why he didn't want to wear a mask. He's
Look at
fucking
those-
trying to show those
look at
choppers
those
off.
teeth.
My smile's my
Look at
only
those
good thing.
teeth right there, man. What are you talking about? I'm gonna somebody zoom in on those.
Yeah,
teeth,
he's just
man.
fucking. It's a vanity play. That's where he stands.
I'm
with
over
the
here.
mask.
Listen, this tells you
Look at
how
him. He closed his mouth. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to show those things. Put those pretty
I'm
things
going to
up.
the dentist. I'm gonna get me. I'm gonna get one of those whitening treatments because of you. Like the whole time over here, I'm like, God damn, look at his teeth.
Oh, really? Because I've thought about doing that because I drink a lot of coffee. They're kind of yellow.
Well, these right here are Riken, man. The ones I can see,
Yeah? All right,
they're
good.
good, man.
before we get off the COVID thing though, a couple of issues like the NBA thing. Going back to that,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
they
Sorry,
should
yeah.
they should just be
I wanted an hour and 15-minute answer. That's why I asked.
Oh, my God.
they should just be required to be tested before games because we have good testing now, so they can test everybody if anyone's.
I don't know. How about?
And those tests are highly. I mean, they're very sensitive. You can test positive and not be positive. You can have one molecule of COVID in your nose.
I
and
guess
test positive.
one of the questions I would like to ask with that, I guess,
And I'm
is-
going to start betting on the opposite team, and then we're going to start poisoning your test so that your test kit shows
so
positive.
you have to sit out.
So that the best players have to sit out, and now there's another form of manipulation. Like, how about if you're so scared, you just stay the fuck at home?
There were a lot of false positives in the NBA last
I'm
year.
following
But
testing. They do it at
one
the
thing
UFC.
I would be curious to know, and I'll look this up, is do you have to show proof of vaccination to attend a game as a fan? Because if all the players have to be vaccinated, then all the fans should have
The
to be
vaccine
vaccinated.
doesn't work, though. Think about it. Think about it. If you have the vaccine, you can still carry COVID and give it to somebody else.
That's
so
true.
just because you had the vaccine does not matter.
So that's true. Yeah.
Right, but
You
then
can still spread it.
we get so tied up in specific words and the specificity of the definitions, right? Because if vaccine might be
Well, see, what he's saying is that
What I'm
if,
saying
No, I
if
understand.
everyone in the room has a vaccine card, then everyone's been vaccinated, but you can still spread COVID. Nobody in that room is going to die of it, but you can still spread it. But it doesn't matter in that room. But
Right.
I think the point is that if we have a viable vaccine available, then it should be business as usual.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's,
I
and that's
think
the
I'm-
problem.
That's what I'm getting at is like, hey, like previous to COVID, take COVID out of it.
It's not going away ever.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then with the flu, there was no paranoia, right? Like unless you're in a certain at-risk age group, there's no paranoia.
There's a
about
good
it.
example of the flu. Children are much more susceptible to die of the flu. The death rate of children is much higher with the flu than with COVID. But we've never done anything to protect kids against the flu. You know, and we shouldn't make kids wear masks at school. It's a very important time in their life to visually see each other and communicate with your entire face and
Maybe they should
not
write.
breathe carbon monoxide.
what's that?
Maybe they should learn to write.
And my daughter could write. My daughter could write before she started school.
Yeah, mine can too. Yeah, but it's not because of the school system.
Well, partially.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying you already said
I'm,
you helped
you know
her.
what?
You taught her before. They
Just
got
thinking
COVID.
right here as we talk, I
Both.
feel like when there's an outbreak, you know what I mean, and it's spreading through the community, we should all do what we can to slow that for
Work
all
together.
of each other
Yeah.
and put
Yeah.
our masks
I
on
agree
and
with
do that stuff.
Well,
you know what I mean? Why
the mask
not?
doesn't work. So, and let me say this:
Well, there's
I'm taking the
some-
position that it doesn't work. Does not mean that I'm not for the
Following,
vaccine or for mask. I'm saying it doesn't work. Like, take your cloth mask, your decorative mask, or your thing, and you don't have an actual medical grade mask, and you take children that are wearing adult masks that are too big, or
Yeah,
they're not
those aren't
they're
doing anything.
improperly
Yeah.
worn. Like, it's not working, right? And then
And you go into a restaurant, everyone takes it off to eat.
yeah, so COVID stops.
I love the.
It
I
stops
love
when you sit down at the
mask
restaurant.
for the 10-foot walk from the door to the table is my.
Yeah.
It's my
It's
favorite.
funny. Yeah.
I mean, like these rules are that's my problem.
It's arbitrary.
They're
Yeah.
arbitrary. Like
Yeah.
the rules don't work.
But that's my point is the conversation isn't being had, right? We're just
Right.
being pitted against vaccinated, non-vaccinated.
It's another
you're
way to
pieces of
divide
shit,
people.
You're pieces of shit.
Yeah.
It's just division
Statistically, I'm more protected right now than anybody in this room.
because you have a gun.
No, because I got COVID naturally, and my natural immunity
Antibodies.
is 7 times more likely to protect me from getting COVID than the virus.
That is true. That is actually true.
Than the thing is, right? So I'm more protected than all of you, right? But yet you would be more scared of me, even though scientifically proven I'm safer than all of you, right? So, but if I went and got a card that said I had a COVID shot, you'd be like, oh, okay, he's fine. Like, it makes no sense.
I don't really
You-
care if you have one or not.
No, you don't. I'm saying, but people
That's
do.
my point. Is
We're
why-
talking about
why do people care so
this
much
athlete
about
doesn't
it?
have a immunity card, but he has natural immunity. and
Well, like I
or
work
could
on.
have
Andy's
natural.
one
I'm
of the
doing
healthiest
shows on
people.
cruise ships. I can't work those ships unless I get vaccinated. I get that,
That's understandable. Yeah.
right? So how's
You shouldn't
how's
want-
my
Unless
profession
you've
different
had
than
unless
his?
you've had COVID, and then you should be
I
able to
don't-
just
if you've had COVID,
show
you
you have antibodies.
If you have antibodies,
Yeah.
I think that you should be able to say I've got antibodies. in
You're
my system.
safer than people that have been vaccinated.
Okay, for
Yeah.
a certain amount of time.
Well, I mean,
My last one was 8 months, by the way.
So I read an article in
How
Nature.
long's your COVID shot good for? Because it looks like you have to have them annually.
I don't know. I just get it and put them in my arm like they tell me, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I read a.
I just show up to the mall every
Just
2
like when my
weeks.
son was born, they were like, he needs shots, and I'm like, here you go, stick them in.
Well,
what you gotta do.
there's-
Let's try to spread this out as much as we can. What does he need hepatitis A for? He's not having sex until he's 16, is he? Okay.
I read an article in Nature that talks about there's once you've had it, you have some degree of a lifetime of immunity to it because your body's experienced it, and your immunity, your antibodies, they're stored in your bone marrow. So it's something that stays with you, and even getting the vaccine, you're still creating those same antibodies. So you have some long term, even though it diminishes slightly with time, it's still long term immunity.
Yeah.
So it's like the booster shot was they were starting to talk about the booster shot and really push it, but then I read the same article in Nature was really about the booster shot. It was talking about how if you've gotten COVID, you have long-term immunity, even though it diminishes it, you still have long-term immunity, and we'll adapt to it. It's something we're going to all adapt to. But then
Can you
also
get it
with
again? And when you get it again, then
it'll
that
just be less severe.
It was much
so,
less
so
severe.
does he have the same? Like when you say the vaccine makes it so you won't be hospitalized or die, most
Right.
likely.
Yeah.
I got hospitalized neither time. I'm
So-
overweight, out of shape.
Do you get the same thing from catching it the first time? The second time, will you get it as bad as it is?
No,
or
no.
will
The
it
second
be-
time should be less severe.
It was much less.
Just
I
just
didn't know
like
I
being
had it.
vaccinated. It's actually better than being vaccinated and having it. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
obviously there are certain long-term effects of COVID we don't know.
So are you vaccinated?
Yeah, I had it and I'm vaccinated.
So that's why.
Who'd you
get
vote for?
vaccinated? Why'd you get vaccinated?
Well, because
if you-
I don't mind the science. I didn't get vaccinated because someone told me to get vaccinated. I got vaccinated because I like the science behind the vaccine. Because I follow a lot of virologists and scientists that understand the technology and explain it, and I've read articles about it.
So this is going to end
And-
up being a good thing because it introduces a next level of of treatment using the mRNA vaccine.
Yeah, it's a better technology.
And they weren't allowing it before because they were afraid of it because it was new.
Well, no, they're sitting. I mean, they've been working on it for years, but it's a new technology, It's just like everything else that evolves. And the reason I said in 10 years they'll be able to create a vaccine like that in an hour because they'll have quantum computing. Sure. They'll be able to do all of this testing on a computer, and then just have an AI create the vaccine that is necessary to battle whatever virus we're dealing with. And
you got to trust AI.
Well, I mean, I trust AI more than people.
How do you feel about AI?
But if it's, I mean, AI is people. But,
I don't know. I say bring it on. The regular I hasn't been working out too well.
HI.
But
now, so to say his point, what he's saying is he feels good about the science, and yet the science still says that my natural immunity is 7 times more.
I thought that too when he was saying it. It's like,
right?
Well, you're going against the science.
Well, no, the science. So there needs to be people that the things are tested out on, so that the science can improve. And I don't want to be one of those people.
Right.
Y'all let them figure it out on you guys. That's perfectly fine, right? I'm cool with that. That's my choice, right?
But I had COVID and the vaccine. The vaccine is just a benign virus where they add the same spike protein.
You had COVID first and then got the vaccine.
Yeah, and some people have a bad reaction to those spike proteins. It affects people differently.
A side effect?
I don't understand the logic of you getting the vaccine if you already had more
I agree with you completely.
than the vaccine.
Well,
I like
not
this guy.
because you had COVID. That's
because it gives you even stronger immunity. And
you just said it's the opposite. You said that his is
no.
No.
One piggybacked on top of the other. I think
exactly.
It's
yeah.
Oh, so you got two.
So instead of 7 times, he has
6
8
months
times.
after I got COVID, I got the vaccine, which just enhanced my immunity. I didn't have a severe response or reaction to COVID, so I knew I wouldn't have one to the vaccine because people react to the spike proteins, either on COVID or in the vaccine. That's what causes the immune response. So I knew I wouldn't have a severe reaction to the vaccine. It was very little.
Okay.
But some people have severe reactions to those spike proteins for whatever reason. And that's and we don't know the long-term effects either of either one.
How'd you find out you were positive?
I went and got tested.
Did you get one of the home tests or whatever?
No, I went
It was
to a
before
lab.
those were available.
Yeah, I went to a lab.
Have you done the home test?
No.
I just did it this weekend before I did my shows. It was like you sit there and wait for the line or whatever. It reminded me of pregnancy tests.
Yeah. That's why I don't take them.
And he got
last time this turned out positive, I was quarantined for 16 years.
But he got COVID twice, so he has double immunity naturally, which is better because the one problem with the vaccine.
Sounds like you got.
One's good.
I got it twice, so I'm doubly protected. It sounds like you're very
No, I mean my thought process. If you had COVID right now and didn't affect everybody else, and you wanted to come hang out, I said, come on.
Right. That's why you caught it twice.
I've not gone to any other. I also had the flu. It's all.
I haven't been sick once in 2 years.
Yeah.
You have a good immune system. Where you just stay away from people.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think you washing your hands is better for your overall immune system, your natural immune system, or you think it's worse?
I think
there's a reason.
To be honest, I think
they want kids to get chickenpox.
Using the stuff on my hands and stuff. I think that's already led to
it's gonna make your immune system
super bugs and made our immune system weaker, and it makes it so the medicine that we're taking doesn't work as well.
10 years from now, you're gonna pay the price for that.
That's why you shouldn't take too many antibiotics because you can weaken your.
Yeah, so everybody's like, all these benefits.
By the way, if you're listening, we are not doctors.
Oh, no,
we got to get some.
I can tell you right now, I for sure don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
And listen, anybody who tuned into this and thinks you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
What happened? I thought we were talking about Dave Ramsey.
We didn't even get back to Dave Ramsey.
We'll do that next time.
Here's what I think. If you want to take the vaccine, take the vaccine. If you don't. And
One
if the vaccine really
feel the
worked,
same way.
if the vaccine really worked, it wouldn't matter if anybody else took it. It wouldn't matter because it fucking worked.
So we will constantly go into the science of it and da. My obsession with it right now is why we give a fuck what other people are doing. I understand, but it really is like, why do we? People who are vaccinated, people who are unvaccinated, whichever group you fucking fall into. Why are we falling for the manipulation of hating the other group?
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of just having the conversations about it.
Yeah.
And, even if the conversations are nonsensical and meander into woolly mammoths, I think the conversation really is important.
Yeah, I agree.
And we shouldn't, thinking people are less than human because of their want or not for getting a shot is that's the biggest fucking problem with COVID right now. In my eyes, the fact that we are actively being aggressive towards the people who don't agree with us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just disagree sometimes with people and then still care about them?
I think with the vaccine, one benefit is keeping more people out of hospitals. I think that's because it does help with that. It's not going to keep everybody out of the hospital, but it does decrease the number of people in the hospitals.
If I get COVID or don't get COVID, I can't go to the fucking hospital. You know what I mean? Let's make that available to everybody first off. Like, you get me some fucking health care, and then I'll do whatever the fuck you tell me to do. You know what I mean? But if I can't afford it, who gives a shit?
Earthquake used to say that to his kids. He'd be like, hey, be careful. You know we don't have insurance.
Yeah, exactly, right?
One concern about the vaccine, though, is... actually, I saw Brett Weinstein talk about this from an evolutionary biologist. Is that since it's just a benign virus, it's not the actual virus itself. So you're only developing an immunity to those specific spike proteins. So if the virus evolves enough or adapts enough into a different strain, then you may have little to no resistance.
Yeah. So
why don't they then just go after the thing that is at its core? Like every flu is different, but it should still have a same core that makes it the flu.
Well, Johnson & Johnson did that, but then people were having complications with blood clots because there's something. Certain people react to
their blood system is weak.
Well, with COVID, some people have that reaction. They develop blood clots. That was one of the problems with getting COVID itself. Yeah. Is certain people's bodies just react a certain way, and they creates blood clots, and they die from, strokes or whatever. But
wait. People die from strokes from the blood clots caused by the spike proteins, right?
Well, they don't know if it's the actual spike protein or just
something.
It's likely something in the virus itself because Johnson & Johnson was a traditional style vaccine.
True.
So it used the dead virus for the vaccine, which was still very effective, but it caused blood clots in a lot of people. Yeah. Enough people that they pulled it. So it's problematic. But I think back to I really believe that the mask thing and then the requiring vaccine cards is it's a power thing.
How do you feel about the masks?
Wearing them the first time, totally fine.
First time made sense.
Did you ever catch
we didn't
COVID?
Know. Yeah.
No, I haven't gotten it. No.
Me neither. I wore them. These two masks are useless.
Neil's always wore his mask.
No, Neil's very responsible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very responsible. He would wear his mask, and
we were exposed by the same person.
Yeah.
And look, the mask thing.
But I'll be honest, I wasn't too worried about getting it because I'm healthy, and statistically, it's no worse for me as it is than the flu is.
Right, you're a healthy guy.
Last year?
Yeah. I was barely sick for a week, but
just stayed in his attic and
got a lot of work done. People left me alone.
Yeah, I showed up to work every day. I just told people, hey, you're welcome to come.
Away.
You can stay away if you want. You can come if you want. I showed up every day. I didn't miss a day, and I worked the whole time.
I'll probably wear masks for the rest of my life in certain ways. Like, honestly, if I'm sick, I used to always see people on airplanes wearing masks forever going, I'd be like, what do you think? We're all fucking dirty over here? You fucking jerk off. And then and it turns out those people were wearing masks because they were sick and didn't want to spread it to other people. So if I'm sick, I'll wear a mask. Or if I got a cold sore, I'll be like, hey, cough, cough. You know what I mean?
I remember 10 years ago being in Vegas, and at the Improv, you'd walk back by some of the office, and they had like a specific office that was Asian marketing, right, where they were specifically trying to get Asian customers in. And I remember thinking they should, at the time I was like, well, they should make like a Harrah's mask, that people would wear, and they could give it to their people, and then it would advertise every casino they went in because they're all wearing it, And you know how you have like this, and then it's like, net, blah, blah, blah. So,
good idea.
And then same thing when it first started happening, I was like, they should be blah, blah. And like my mom was in the promotional products business, and she's like, no, because of the ink, they'll never do that. And then 3 months after COVID starts,
they're doing it. Yeah.
Every mask has some shit on it, and it's like, what?
Did your mom introduce COVID? Is that
I need a T-shirt that says "I told you so," and I'm just gonna
See, when you had those thoughts, everybody's like, "Oh, Tom, you're just being weird. It's just anxiety."
You got the
Yeah.
dopamine from having the thought you never executed.
There you go. That's a callback.
exactly.
No, but who knows, man? I want the best for everybody.
That's what it comes down to, right?
I get tested every 6 weeks. There's a few times it's been 7 or 8 weeks in between where I get my blood work done and full panels, and I can test to see if I have the antibodies still. And the first time it was just over 8.5 months, right there at almost 9 months, that I had every single test had the antibodies.
What happened to that, by the way? In the beginning, I remember them saying, once you've had it and you have antibodies, they're going to figure out a way to antibody test and then get those antibodies out and start using it as treatments for people.
They are using that, yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like
It's very effective.
I've had it again now, and now every single test, I still have antibodies. I mean, like literally the most recent one, I've still got antibodies. So,
And you should have lifetime immunity since you've had it twice.
yeah, you would think.
Yeah,
But they
those are
said
all
you
things
couldn't
we
get it
don't know.
twice for a long time.
Yeah,
Well, they
right,
also
right.
say if you get the COVID vaccine shot that you wouldn't get COVID
Well,
again. but you need the booster. Wait,
I
but
think the
now
problem
you need
is
the third
it
booster.
goes back to what you're saying. It's the fucking delivery. We just keep saying that we know
Yeah.
things and we don't know anything.
agree.
And I think we just need to act accordingly. And I think it's okay for us to assume that we should all want the best for other people and
I agree.
protect each other.
I agree.
And if that means wearing a silly mask on occasion, then wear the silly fucking mask because it helps Nana stay alive a little bit
agree, yeah.
longer. Also, fuck your grandparents. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
old people die. That's what they do. You know what I mean? But wear the mask and just protect people.
There's a whole lot of old people that are highly upset about having to wear masks, by the way.
I'm sure.
A
I'm
whole lot.
positive.
Like, I can tell you, I got a whole family
Yeah,
full
they're also
of them.
upset by interracial marriage, gay people. There's a lot of shit old people are upset by.
No, I mean,
Whoever said age with
90
age comes wisdom
You're
said that when
96
people
years
lived
old.
to 50.
You're
It's my
96 years old. I got a specific personal example. 96 years old, you're trying to force him to wear a mask.
Yeah.
He still smokes. He doesn't give a fuck
That's
about
how
your
he stayed
mask.
alive,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's been
He's
smoking.
wearing a mask. It's an oxygen mask.
He's not wearing a goddamn mask. I mean, come on. Like, you know what? And
He's not wearing a catheter either. He just pisses all over himself. He doesn't care.
so imagine that you have, and I think there should be, this is going to get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you want to kill yourself, legally, I think you should be able to do it.
Agreed.
And I think that people are going to do it whether it's illegal or not. They're doing it, obviously.
Right.
So we should have humane ways that are offered, and there should be processes to go through to do that. Right? I think you should be able to choose what you do to yourself.
If you're not harming other people.
As long as you don't harm somebody else. And there are a lot of people
What
that
about
commit.
cleanup? Like I'm saying, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Let's create some
I have a great idea for this.
humane ways to do it.
A booth.
Hey,
You could do
That's
both.
true. You know, there was
No,
a,
it's got to be more fun than a
the
booth.
there was an
hiker.
Ohio State player a few years ago that he went to the out behind the coroner's office with a shotgun in a dumpster. He
See?
blew his head off in
Very
the dumpster.
considerate.
It was.
Very considerate.
It's very sad.
The hiker,
and
the hiker that they found when they were looking for the Gabby or the chick, the hiker they found up in the mountains and the trail that they were hiking. You
Did they
remember
find
this?
him?
They found a hiker, a guy
Oh,
that's
okay.
been missing for like a year and a half. He went out by himself on a destitute hiking trail, and he killed himself away from his family, but he didn't want to be found. Right? Like, I'm like, well, these people should have had some other options because obviously they didn't care that it was illegal. You know, most
As
people,
someone who's been suicidal for most of my life,
I think we should offer help, but
sure, but
But-
you know, I think a humane solution is a thing that. But that's again, there's no conversations about this, right?
Right.
And you constantly get people who aren't in a situation trying to deal with the situation.
Yeah, man.
If you
I think it's a terrible idea.
right,
I
because you don't
hate
want to
it.
die.
Yeah, I hate
your
it.
life is good. You like
But-
your life.
No, I mean, and it's been shit. I lost
Absolutely.
everything, living with my parents for 18
Absolutely.
I think it's a terrible idea. However, just because I don't like it doesn't mean you
Doesn't
should be able
mean-
to do it.
exactly.
As long as it doesn't affect me.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, here's
But anyway, and I mean, that's a
I have an idea
controversial-
about a suicide travel agency and theme park.
Hey,
so here's an article in Nature, which is a highly respected scientific journal. The article is about the boosters, and because the pharmaceuticals were really pushing the boosters, and even politicians were really pushing it. But this article was arguing against it. It was saying that the experts in the field don't think it's necessary. They think it's just a money grab by the pharmaceuticals. And it says, what about protection from serious illness with COVID-19? It's clear from the trial data that the protection against severe disease remains high. Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna reported percentage efficiencies estimates in the high 90s against severe COVID-19 after 6 months. Real-world data from Israel, the United Kingdom, and elsewhere suggests that vaccines are hugely effective at keeping people out of the hospital, even when the Delta variant is the cause. And in that same article, it talks about how you'll likely have some immunity for your entire life, even just from the vaccine. So I think my thing is, early on, when we didn't really understand it, I recommend, everybody, let's all, it should have been a conversation not from one person or from politicians. It should have been from the scientific community saying, hey, I think we should all work together. We should all try to wear masks. We should take certain precautions to see if we can fight this together. And it should have always been a together issue.
Everything should be a together issue.
Everything should be a together issue. But now it's a place to divide people. It's another topic to just push people apart and
that's where I wonder who is promoting the division. Follow that and you find out everything.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't know. All I see is, when I look at political fundraising, I go, okay, well, what are the motives of those people donating the money, right? Because that's really, when you get motivated enough to give away your money, usually there's a reason, right?
Well, you're trying to make more money.
Exactly. With corporations, that's what it comes down to. Like, we're going to spend a certain amount of money to protect our interest. And when you have that conversation, and then we all get brainwashed, including myself, into having some political fight based on whoever is temporarily wearing the hat, I'm in charge, which is a joke. I don't care if it's Biden or if it's Trump, right? That's a joke, and there's political division, and it divides us. Instead of us all going, wait a second, this is a good idea, whether it's a Republican idea or a Democratic idea, it's a good idea, and we all agree, for the most part, that
ego.
We don't want kids to die. Yeah. We don't want people being murdered, right? I'm going to give you a fact that's going to be turned into a political one. It's not designed to be. There's more children murdered in Chicago this year, than the entire United States deaths of children. But yet they're forcing children to wear masks in school. How about they move all the children out of Chicago then? If we care so much about children's lives, why don't we do something about it? But because it's a Democratic
or in poverty
ran area, they're not talking about it because it becomes a political talking point. I wish it was a Republican area just so that it would be discussed, but like, that's the problem I have, is like, it turns into political talking points. Like, I really don't even care left, right. I just care, how do we solve the problem? And when stuff starts getting forced on me, I get nervous.
You can't even find out what the problem is because there's so many, because it becomes politicized.
Well, another concern is that tyranny always uses fear. Tyranny, it always gets a grip through scaring people.
Where do we get how do we scare the most people? It's the media, right? It's the news. It's things like that. Let's scare as many people as possible.
We need to give some tax incentives for doing yoga and meditation.
I agree.
Like, seriously,
that's a good idea.
Some nonviolent, what you were talking about earlier.
Self-wellness.
It's actually helped me quite a bit with some of my stuff and some of the books that we've talked about recently. Like, it's actually helped quite a bit to have.
We were talking about yoga last week.
Yeah, I think they should put some incentive. Some cultures, that's a big part of the culture. I think that's a good idea.
My buddy Kostaki used to have a joke that he worked on about guns should have like a mood ring on them.
I like that.
You turn it on, it's like, oh, it's all black because I'm angry. Ooh, I can't shoot it till it's
till it's green.
I think you'd see most of those gunshots are fear.
Of course, love. That's every choice comes down to love or fear. You're either in love or you're in fear.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's every second you have to keep making that decision. That's back to that yourself stuff. Yeah. So I want to do that. My goal this week is actually to go find a place in Greensboro that does transcendental meditation and start to focus on that kind of stuff.
I like that. Just being more aware of that. I've tried. Like, I had a moment the other day where I just went away to myself, and literally it turned into 3 hours.
That's great.
And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I usually I'm not away from my phone like that, but I was.
It's important that you do that.
Yeah. And I felt like it was a blink of an eye. I felt so refreshed and so energized, and so I went in and hugged my kids. Like, it was amazing. And I go, man, sometimes I want to turn all this this input off.
I do it pretty often. I reject technology like it's a bad organ transplant. And Neil always is like, yeah, it's all good. And for me, it just doesn't. I get overwhelmed with it. It's why I'm not on a lot of the social media sites and things like that. It becomes septic to me. And doing the yoga and meditation is the opposite of those things, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. It is overwhelming. I've talked about it with you, and with you. Like, there's so much content out there. There's so much information. It can be a lot.
I don't need everyone's opinion. I just don't. I don't need them.
That's what I mean. But you don't want to read their thoughts and hear their opinions.
Yeah, but I would like to fucking
that's not going to be
download
with
a book.
Like with our current minds. That'll be an enhanced version of us.
I hope so. I would rather shut off the fucking voices in my head from talking than even hear anybody else's.
What we need to do is we need to be the innovators. Let's not just talk about it. Let's do it. Let's be the ones that put that business model together and get it passed. We'll get rich off of it.
Okay.
I know you think capitalism is somewhat bad, but you can put all that money you make to the
Do you think capitalism is bad, Tom?
No, I do, because I think the core, when your core of something is greed, then you're
I'm
rewarding
the most
that
selfless person.
I think that ends up creating bad society around it, and I think our foreign policy reflects it. Blah blah blah. But I also just read a book by Howard Bloom, who I think is a genius, and I've read a bunch of his stuff.
Which book?
Lucifer Principle and blah blah blah. He wrote one, the Genius of the Beast, which is basically about capitalism and how creative it's been for humankind, and how much it's done for humanity, and how much it's pushed evolution forward.
Right.
The problem is when it starts to be controlled by the tiny few, and then
which I think we need more anti-monopoly. We got to get rid of the major big corporations. Too much power is a real thing. I agree with that.
Yes, yeah,
I agree with that. And that's not what capitalism is supposed to be, but it's what it's turning into. And I'm not just saying that because there are some people in power that are a certain political party. I don't give a shit. If
it's been our core our core model, like that Chicago School of Economics. It's been our foreign policy. It's been and it's very destructive, and it leads to a tiny few at the top, and it's so incredibly greed based, and it's what happened. It's what fucked up Russia and turned it into these oligarchs and stuff. Them all going in, and we're going to do it this way. And
I could spend like 18 months with you, 24 months with you, and change your life financially. And any person.
Let's do that.
If you're capable.
Wait till my divorce is finished.
I'm saying, like, if you're mentally capable, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. Like, there are definitely some things that people have additional challenges that are an added layer that they may not be able to function at that level. But if you're you
can just say my name, Dan.
No. Bar that. I'm going to tell you, I don't care what color you are, where you were born, how much money you have right now. I can help make you wealthy.
Dude, you're like my own Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Let's talk about Dave Ramsey real quick. Why aren't we drinking? Does anybody else in here drink other than me? I mean, like, Lord, I could have had a drink.
I do not drink.
Water?
I got some water.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, no, scratch the drinking. Delete that.
I don't have anything against other people drinking and all that.
Wait a second. You don't want to force me to drink?
No.
Should I carry a card that says I'm not a drinker to be around you, maybe?
I mean, you do have to have a card to drink.
No, you don't.
I mean, in public you do.
You have to have a card to purchase alcohol.
Yeah.
But you can't open carry that alcohol down the street anywhere you want.
Some places you can.
Yeah, it depends on where we're at.
Yeah,
depends on where you're at.
Laws are weird.
So Dave Ramsey, we were talking about this earlier when we got on onset, but prior we started recording. My opinion of Dave is, so there's a lot of different types of people. Entrepreneurs by and large are they don't like being put in boxes, right? They don't like repetitive things as far as, my opinion, I could never go in and be an employee to someone else because every time I did, I tried to solve problems. Like, I went in and they wanted me to put the square peg into the square hole, and I'm questioning the whole process, right?
Right.
And the moment I solve that problem, I want to solve a different problem. And I don't like being in this office because you want me to sell? I can do that. I can sell your entire month's goal in a week. Let me do that, and then I want to go do something else. I want to solve a different problem. Like I feel like that's the issue. And if you're entrepreneurial, I don't think that some of Dave's principles are going to resonate with you, but I don't think that's who Dave's target market is. His target market is teaching people to become millionaires, and everything he says is accurate as far as with the context of if you want to live debt-free, all the benefits of living debt-free, I think, as far as the peace of mind and can you attain a millionaire status, and 98% of the millionaires we surveyed did it this way. I agree those things are all true. That doesn't make them the only way.
It's more of a retirement program.
It is. It's a long-term, like he says he wants to get rich for sure, right? Like that's
I don't even know. I just know who Dave
Well,
Ramsey
that's one of
is
his things. He's like, if you do it this way, you're for sure going to get rich. And I don't. Rich is relative. It's subjective. But I think he's right. And if you're working the 9 to 5, you're working for corporate America, his principles can lead to peace of mind and less stress. However, if you thrive in stressful environments, right, and you like to juggle, and you can take all that pressure and you can handle mitigating personalities, and you can problem solve with the best of them, I feel like the more of those things that become present, his principles don't necessarily apply. It doesn't make them wrong. It's just a different way. It's like saying,
if you were hiring in your business, would you want an employee like you, or would you?
No, no, you don't. No. You hire to your weaknesses. First of all, you need to hire to complement yourself. But secondly, from that, if I need a square peg put in a square hole, I have to hire somebody that does that.
Okay.
Right, like you hire, like when you hire the janitor, you don't need the janitor knowing how to run the board meetings, right? I need the janitor to take pride and care, and he's very important, by the way. But I need him to be passionate about what he does.
Right.
And some people don't want, and this is not to say a janitor doesn't. Some people don't want the stress. Like they want to go. I know many people. Many of them work for us that we have given opportunities to own things and have said no. They want to shut it off when they're done. They want to be done. They don't want to talk on the phone after hours. They don't want the stress. They don't want the curveball.
They want to put in their hours, get their check, go home.
Exactly. They have different things that are important to them in their life, and they value life differently. That's perfectly fine.
That's part of managing people, right? Is finding
100%.
out what they want.
I need to figure out what motivates you. Like my job is not to make you rich. My job is to figure out what motivates you,
what you love to do,
what you're passionate about, and utilize that so that we both, so that we both get to the finish line. So if your idea of the finish line is not wealth, the accumulation of money, then me trying to motivate you that way does nothing, right?
When I used to...
maybe you want to spend time with your family or your kids. You want more time off. Maybe you want vacations, or like maybe these are other things you want, but you want the peace of mind. Like that's the way I got to motivate you. I got to figure out which carrot to use.
My last real job I had a bunch of employees, and it used to make me crazy that they didn't want the success of the company the way I did. And it used to just blow my mind that they wouldn't come in and just fucking want it every day. And then the owner of the company said, hey, look, your job is to manage these people and figure out what they do want. To expect them to want the same things you want is silly. Yeah. Everybody wants different things.
Yeah, I think Dave's amazing. Honestly, I really do. And some of his principles, many of his principles, I like a lot. I think the logic behind them is very important as well. However, if you look at, let's just step aside from that for just a second and go, the government prints money. It's not a political statement. Like literally it prints money. Money is only worth something. It's an exchange of value. You give me time, I give you pieces of paper in exchange. It has a value because we perceive that it has a value. And today there's 140% more cash in circulation than there was a year ago, right? So if you're a saver, Robert Kiyosaki says savers are losers. So you were saying who's the opposite of Dave Ramsey? They're friends, by the way.
Right.
So Robert Kiyosaki says savers are loser, and he's never been more accurate. And any time he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's what he was famous for.
Okay.
He's never been more accurate at any time since he's written that than he is today. Because literally, if you have a savings account, the buying power of that money is less today than it was, a year ago.
Yeah,
I'm
one of those.
So, yeah,
9%, right? Is what you said.
Well, right now, so there's a couple of different numbers. So the CPI, the Consumer Price Index numbers just came out, and they said that there was a 5%. But the business one that came out following that says 9%. So what that really means is if you had $1 million saved, just since the most recent update, and you're a consumer, your million only has the buying power of $950,000. So you just lost $50,000 like that. And if you're a business, it has the buying power of $910,000. Right, so you lost $90,000, but the kicker is that if the cost to the business went up, which it did, that means the cost to the consumer is getting ready to go up. So we have more inflation coming, And it's not going to jump from 5 to 9 because it's an average. It'll skew up, right? And so our dollars are built to deflate. I think usually at 2% to 3% per year. They're designed to go down in value over time. That's the way the system was made. That's not a problem. That's by design.
I think it's a problem. But
yeah, well, it's not a problem as in the way we've been running the country because it was expected, right? 5, 6, and 7s and 9% inflation was never expected.
It's a problem
right?
if you don't understand it.
It's definitely a problem if you don't understand it. So on some level, because you're subject to it, you can be saving diligently, and you can't outsave what they can print.
I think it's a problem either way.
Yeah.
My reason is because I think it still allows a few people to have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Because there's never going to be enough money. The way the system currently is structured, the way the currency is currently
creates
structured,
winners and losers.
Yeah, there's never going to be enough money.
So
It's not necessarily a finite pool of money because it does grow with the economy as new businesses are developed and the economy grows. The money does increase, but there's still never going to be enough of it the way it works right now. We need to base the value of money on different things other than just the things that it's based on now. Like you need to account for the value of the individuals in the society.
Talk about that. If we're going to base
let him finish his thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's to tie into that too. But like if you think about it, so there's another problem is I can create money. A bank right now, let's say you put $100,000 in the bank can loan out $1 million.
Yeah.
It's 10 to 1 of what they have on reserve. And actually under Biden, it's not Biden's fault, but under Biden, because of the pandemic, they came up with a thing saying you could lend 10 to 1, you could lend the money regardless of having the $100,000 on reserve. You could lend $1 million as long as the person was creditworthy, and they made a special exception because of what was going on. So literally, money is printed two ways. One,
it's created out of thin air.
It's created two ways. One way it's printed, which they did 140% more cash in circulation. The other way it's created through loans.
But 95% of our money is digital, right?
Yeah. So we go to the bank. So imagine this for a second. Like let's say the four of us, literally, we had $100,000 each. We'll count Jesse. We'll give him some money. The five of us. So Jesse's got $100,000. We get $500,000. We all say, you know what, guys, we're gonna pull together and work this thing together. We're gonna take all $500,000 to the bank. The bank is gonna take our $500,000, and they're gonna loan $5 million.
They're gonna loan money that doesn't exist.
They're gonna loan
interest.
They're gonna loan.
Well, it does exist then.
Right. Yeah. The moment they loan it exists. So now $500,000 on reserve turns into $5 million they loan. Right. They take that $5 million and they loan it out in the world. So imagine that the gentleman that's over here that's here with us tonight, let's say that the bank gives him $5 million and he goes out and he spends that $5 million. He just took real cash and spent it out in the world. $5 million that doesn't exist. Right. Remember, only $500,000 existed. Right? Like literally money is being created and you're trying to save it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So you need to learn the rules of the game and start playing and stop complaining about the outcome, because until they change it, this is this game we're stuck in.
That's how it works, yeah.
Right? So that's why with Dave Ramsey, the only point, and again, I'm a big fan. I'm going to his events. He's probably going to never watch this, but if he did watch it, he's going to cancel my membership. But the only point that I disagree in is that he's not taking into account the way the whole system operates.
Well, I think he is. I think Dave Ramsey's perspective is you save as much as you can, so you have a comfortable life. But it's not. It's like a non-ambitious.
In comparison to
it's
everyone
else,
else,
a very safe way to go.
In comparison to everyone else, though.
Yeah, $500,000 sounds fucking great to me.
To most people,
I mean? I don't need $5 million right now.
Yeah.
500,000 would be
at 70 years old.
I mean, I understand, but you know what I'm saying.
Let me give you a different example.
Yeah.
Imagine you had taken what would appear to be a lot of money. So
$200.
No. So I think, and I'm going to butcher this, but Warren Buffett said you should never buy an asset that the only way you get the value of it is you sell it. Okay? So, and he did an example, and I think it was like 1925, give or take one or two of these things. You need to look it up to get the exact numbers, but I think it was 1925. You could take, and the amount that you could buy a brick of gold was the same amount that you could have bought a 2-bedroom home. Okay? So you take the brick of gold and you put it in your safe. And once a week when you had people over for Sunday dinner, you'd take them in there and you say, look at my brick of gold. It's beautiful. You'd open it up. It looks great. Feel it. Feel how heavy it is. Right? Look how shiny it is. Right? And you held that brick of gold for 100 years. At the end of the 100 years, you still got a brick of gold. It didn't spawn new gold. It is worth more. The only way you extract the worth of it is you sell it, which means you no longer have the asset, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you'd owned a 2-bedroom home, right, you could have rented the home out. The home, just like the brick of gold, went up in value. The land went up in value. The house went up in value. Over the 100 years, it went up in value. Same thing. The difference is I can extract part of that value as I went the entire time for the 100 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And still own the asset.
So you've made your money time and time again.
Right? Over and over and over and over again, right? So it's just a difference. Neither one is right or wrong. It's what is your objective? Guess what? The guy that had the house, maybe he didn't feel as special because he didn't have the brick of gold to show people and hold it. But over a long period of time, I would tell you that the guy with the house won because he was able to take, now you take that cash that the house puts off and you invest that. Now we got the eighth wonder of the world, which is compound interest. So I take revenue, I take profit, I take money, and I take and invest that. And then that generates more money and I invest that, right? Or you got the guy that does nothing with his head in the ground, literally, buys the brick of gold and never does anything.
That's what I mean.
Right? All he did was buy the brick of gold and he thinks, okay, I'm done. I'm good now.
And also, if you had the $500,000 at retirement, that's not much money.
Right.
That's
You say that now, but
No, it's not.
I understand.
I mean, if you break it down to $50,000
Relatively,
a year,
right.
it's only giving you 10 years. So.
But no,
Yeah.
let's back up though. In 1925, you could have bought a house for $2,400.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. To buy a house today, I would say I will have to pull it, but maybe the average is $160,000. So if you'd have taken $2,500, then and just put it in a safe and said, okay, I saved the money and equivalent, and you just sat on it, right? Because of inflation, your money becomes devalued over time, right? So that's the problem is you can't just save money. You've got to actively invest. So money is only used as a tool. If you don't utilize it, it's useless. Yeah. So that's the whole Robert Kiyosaki says savers are losers. So, hey, you want to live a good life, Dave Ramsey's principles will definitely help you get out of debt, 100%. Help you start making better decisions. Because why would you use debt to buy depreciating assets? I agree with Dave 1,000%. But should I utilize debt to start a business, to create, to innovate?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah.
Right? I think if we weren't doing that, then you're talking about, I think the number is something like $100 trillion. Like you've got the national debt, but what we don't talk about is the debt as a nation. You're talking about $100 trillion in debt. Right, if the debt
that
system,
much,
it's up there. We need to pull it and see. Look at the
like 20 trillion or something.
No, that's the nation's debt. I'm talking about the total debt in circulation in the United States.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because if you think about debt, that's essentially, if that's debt, that's fake money that's been printed, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Just
all
the
fake anyway. But
yeah, just the nation's debt is $20 trillion or whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
So Dave Ramsey thinks you're going to solve the problem by saving cash and not having any debt. The problem is the rest of the world doesn't agree.
Yeah.
And they're all accumulating debt.
It doesn't work that way.
Right. And so if you think about it, like we owe a lot of money to China. How do you deflate? How do you pay back China? You have to deflate the dollar.
I've thought that too about loans. Like if I got a second loan on my house because it's paid off, I'd get another loan,
Yeah.
I would, over the time, whatever, the interest 4 or 5%, the money's going to be worth.
You're paying them back with deflated dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about.
So the best thing that can happen for me in order to pay back debt is inflation.
100%.
Now I owe less.
Let me tell you what's a hedge against inflation is real estate. And
you could take that money and buy property.
Yeah, but especially real estate that has a loan against it because you're paying the bank back. Let's say, and the rates right now are more like 2.5%, 3%. But you're literally going to pay the bank. Their bank is giving you today's dollars, and you're going to pay them back with future dollars that are deflated.
Right.
In periods of heavy inflation, not only are you paying the bank back with deflated dollars, but in addition, because of inflation, the cost of your home goes up.
Yeah, and if you're locked into a specific rate, then you're winning.
You're winning, right? So now my home value is going up.
So I should go take a loan out after I got to zero.
Let's have a different conversation, but a much longer conversation. I would ask you what your objective is.
Yeah.
If your objective is to be debt free, follow Dave Ramsey till you're blue in the face, 100%. If your objective changes, then I would tell you that you can go get a loan out of your house and it's tax free. So what do you think? You don't have to say a number. Pick a fake number if you'd like. If you own your home, how much is your home worth, do you think?
$250,000.
Okay, so you can go tomorrow and pull out $250,000 and it's not taxable. Okay? You pull out 250 grand and you put it to use. If you're just pulling out 250 grand to start living your wildest dreams, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
But if you're pulling out the 250 grand and you're going to put it into play to generate more money, I think it's an awesome idea. If we need to talk about what the ideas are.
Right. How did that? Because the ideas are basically putting it on a roulette table. Not that's the idea, but I mean, all your ideas are a roulette table, and some of them are going to pay off, and some of them aren't. But now my house is at risk.
There's some.
Well, this is the thing. Now we need to talk about.
invest,
Well,
though.
what's risk mean? What does risk mean?
It means I don't have a place to live.
No. What's the payment on a? No. It's we can get it really down. We can dial this way in.
Yeah.
What's the risk on 250 grand right now? Right. The payment's $1,200 a month.
Right.
Okay, approximately.
I probably can't rent an apartment for that.
That's my point. So you're paying $1,200 a month, which is also a tax write-off. You took money tax-free. The payback of that money is with deflated dollars, and the interest you pay is a write-off. You're a hedge against inflation because you own real estate and because you're paying them back with deflated dollars. Like the benefits stack up.
So just in a real simple way, you could go buy 2 properties,
Exactly.
2 townhouses that would rent for over $1,000 a month, or maybe $1,000 a month,
It's a perfect idea.
and you're making more. You have more coming in than you're paying on that loan.
Yep.
So you're already profiting, and then by the time you pay off that loan,
Yep.
you have 3 properties. They're worth way more than they are today, and 2 of them have been paying you the whole time.
Our system encourages you to take on debt. The problem is that people don't understand it. And this is what I said.
I don't.
We spend enough time together.
I've got a
change
10-minute
everything.
chunk
And
on
honestly,
the Federal
you can-
Reserve, and I don't understand money. I literally have a shelf filled with books on
Now-
economics and blah blah blah, and all these different things about money. And I still, because it's made up,
Yeah.
it's fake, and
It is.
just something
Yeah.
about that.
It is. Now,
Make it. I can't really.
you
wrap
think
my
you
head
own
around
your
it.
house. I'm going to tell you, you never really own your house.
'Cause I gotta pay taxes
Because you got
to
to
the
pay
government.
taxes
Right,
on it,
yeah.
right? And what do you think those taxes are going to do over time?
Keep going up.
The annual taxes on many people's houses right now are more than the cost to buy the house originally,
Yeah.
Right.
right? If you look at some of these houses 100 years old, 80 years old, the annual taxes are more than the cost of the house every year.
Well, people lose a lot of property because of that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
look up tax defaults. It's a real thing, right? And in certain states, North Carolina is not one of them, but in certain states, they can literally take your house, literally take it, and you can go bid at auction. You can buy people's houses for the cost of the taxes alone, right? So, it's an interesting thing, but what's your objective, right? If your objective is you don't want the stress of being a landlord, you're going to go take the money and you're going to buy other properties. You don't want the stress of being a landlord. You don't want the stress of, you just want, your goal was to be debt free and have no stress and be able to enjoy that piece of that slice of heaven that you have, then you should do that. However, if there's something more you want, I would encourage you highly to figure out a way to go out and generate more. And I think you'd find really quickly that you've got this thing that you can leverage that you're not utilizing. And the tax system encourages you to do it, right? And instead, most people are going to say, well, they shouldn't encourage that in the tax system. But that's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. So, our society is built off people being consumers. And I can assure you, I don't care which side you're on, that's true. Right?
So we agree.
I agree.
Let's close.
Yeah. But it's an interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, don't go leverage your house. I want to have a much further
Right.
in-depth
Some nuanced conversation, yeah.
I want to have
Yeah.
a much off camera. We can have a much more detailed conversation about what you're going to do with those dollars, and let's really walk it all the way through. And I think you'll see people that win in life, they don't just win by accident most of the time. They have to
course.
win over and over and over again. And it's because, him and I talk and we poke holes in each other's things constantly. I've been doing this a long time, dude.
That
Right.
sounds
Yeah.
really interesting.
No, I mean,
And then we poke holes in each other's business ideas constantly, right? And, we still don't win on everything. We win
No,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
more than we lose,
Sure.
but, so I would encourage you to do that. But then again, some people would say I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And I think
You call it gambling. I think it's the opposite.
Well, I agree. I mean, listening to you guys, like you just said, poking holes. It's that you got to question everything.
100%.
yeah.
Which
it's
I
the
love
conversations. The
doing.
conversations
Question everything,
have
except
to
for
be
my
had.
wife. She fucking hates that. Questioning everything.
How we going, buddy?
Super.
But I don't know. And I mean, like, that's the thing, man. Like, we wouldn't talk money. I love talking money, right? Politics, I can't fucking stand, right? And it's not because I agree with one side or the other. It's just because I hate the hate and the division and the bullshit.
The money's causing that.
Yeah, it's not the
Well,
money.
it's
It's
because
not
the
the money.
It's the-
money get the.
It's the greed that's
the power.
causing
Well,
that. It's not the
going back
money.
to this book that I read halfway through, and part of what, like I said, they're spending like about 3/4 of their time fundraising, right, raising money raising money, selling whatever for the money, blah, blah, blah.
They're getting, by the way, they're not just raising money to get into office. These political figures, the average political net worth is high. We're talking about 100-fold the average American citizen.
Right.
So you need to understand that the people you're talking about are greedy. These are not like people that name any politician that's well known at all. They are worth millions of dollars. Right? They are greedy individuals, right? They didn't get into politics. They may have got into it at the beginning because they had a love for it, but they were successful in it because they became greedy. They took dollars from political organizations or from groups or from corporations.
That's the system. They have to, right?
And exactly. And they played the game. And if they didn't play the game, that's why they didn't get president, right?
Well, and there's also promises later, too.
That's right.
Politics.
A lot of politicians, when they get out of office, they get these cush jobs or they get speaking. And I'm talking about both sides. Yeah. This is not a left or right thing. They get paid millions of dollars for book deals. They get speaking engagements. Like, I literally saw one of a president that I like. I'm not going to mention his name, where he got paid $500,000 to speak at a speaking engagement. There were 12 people that were not his employees at the engagement.
Yeah.
Right. It's so corrupt. That's not illegal, but like it's just obvious what's going on.
Right. Yeah. And listen, money and success aren't greed and power necessarily. There's a difference between power and success. You can have lots of power but not the most success. And that's where I see a fundamental problem in our currency situation. The way the currency is designed is it's almost designed to create a system where certain people have a lot of power because there's not enough money, not enough currency, because it's valued on businesses and GDP and the banks and certain things that give certain people control. And my argument is that we should reevaluate our money. We should base the value of our money on the individuals. You know, what is a person's basic needs worth in society? And you can account for inflation with that too. And you could also an economist recently evaluated the value of the planet. So our planet is worth $5 quadrillion, which is a 5 followed by 15 zeros. If you divided that amongst 8 billion people on the planet, that's about 675,000 people, $675,000 a person. And that's not including what you could leverage that money, what it would be worth if it's leveraged.
That's $6.75 million each. If we go to the bank, put it on the bank.
Are you following this?
Yeah, right. If you put it in the bank, it immediately becomes $6.75 million.
Are you
each.
lost, Tom?
but then, so we could technically base a percentage of our currency on the value of our percentage of the planet, and we would have way more currency. But then, not only that, you still base it on the same things it's based on now, but you add in that element, and then you also add in each individual in the society's basic human needs, like your medical needs, your housing needs, your transportation needs. And you can't just give that to people. You have to have an incentive-based society. That's why capitalism works so well, because it's based on incentives. You're rewarded for your productivity. You're rewarded for innovation. That's why poverty has decreased more than 50% in the last 20 years. It's because of capitalism. But capitalism by itself isn't enough. You need a better monetary system. That's why I like Peter Diamandis so much. He's a brilliant entrepreneur and scientist, and he believes this will be the future. He believes that technology will lead to to this thought process, and technology decentralizes things. That's why you have cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. But if we could reevaluate the value of our currency based on these ideas, then you could have a system where, as long as you're a part of this system, you're contributing, you're a part of the tax system, then you receive these specific incentives. So you talked about the janitor earlier. The janitor is just as important as the doctor. We need all the different roles in society, and we all do different things, and we're all good at different things, and we should be doing those things that we're good at. But also, we should also have a decent life. So you have the janitor that today makes $12 an hour. Under that system, maybe he makes $150 an hour, or she, or whatever. But that person that works this entry-level job and makes $150 an hour, suddenly their life is way better. because they have a decent place to live. Their kids are in a good school. They
don't have to do
schools
things
are good.
Yeah.
They don't
just
mind.
To survive,
You don't mind doing the shitty work if you're getting well compensated for it.
So-
and you have a good life, and then also, you don't necessarily have to work 40 hours a week doing it. You can find a lot of people that can mop floors. So maybe you just have a bigger staff, and you have people that work 20 hours a week on these entry level jobs, because that's how you get in. The hardest jobs to fill are the least. Are the least wanted jobs. The jobs that people don't want are the easiest ones to get. So in this system, you will have people lined up to take these entry-level jobs that no one wants to do, because that's how you get into the system, and that's where the incentives are. And then you do that job 20 hours a week, you spend another 60 or 80 hours a week doing something you really care about, and you find out, oh, I'm actually really good at this other thing. I'm going to excel at that. And then we have a society that's designed to find what people are good at and get them doing those things so we can be more productive. And
Sounds like Karl Marx, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's the opposite, because Karl Marx is a power construct. That's socialism. That's not the same thing. That's the opposite of what this is. Socialism gives all the power to a small group of people at the top. And then and things like socialism and communism always lead to destruction and a lack of innovation, and they eventually collapse because they just can't work, because you have an oppressed society of miserable people that are just helpless and hopeless. So you want a society where there's an infinite, there's no ceiling. You can be as successful as you want to be. So in this type of society, there is no poverty, but you're not taxing the wealthy people to pay for the poor people. You can have the same tax system we have today. We just have an exponentially larger amount of a pool of money, of currency. So the janitor is a janitor, and they're making a good wage, or all these entry-level workers are making good wages. They have good places to stay. They have health care. They have transportation, all these things. But they can also focus on the things they're good at and move into better jobs and to higher wage. Or not, wages won't even be a problem, but maybe somebody becomes a really brilliant artist or an inventor, or they go back to school because they have time to enhance their education, and they can pursue a higher level job. So you're really taking the whole society and making it more productive. And the people that are already doing well will do exponentially better.
That's the thing, right? Is the people who are doing well in the places of power are the ones who would cling to what is the current system, right? Because they think that they would have less in that system, when it sounds like they wouldn't.
They would have more.
Right.
Yeah,
and when we talk about things
better.
like this, these are the things that I agree with you on, and then I wonder, what's the first step? Like that sounds like something that would be lovely to get to eventually, but how do we get there? And it always is that first step. I just don't.
I think it's fear.
It is fear, yeah.
And part of this is, are
fear
we talking
on
about
whose behalf?
The power.
The power, people with power. But check this out. Do you newly have money? Like, I'm confident. I'm hesitant to say this, knock on wood, but I have said and proven it. Like, if I lost everything tomorrow, it's fine. I'll start over.
Yeah, because you've done it.
And I did.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated every minute of it. It took me 18 months, and it was hell. I hated it. Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad. Thank you for the garage. The concrete floor.
Because you were doing pretty well.
I was, yeah. Well, I mean, by most people's standards,
Very well.
Very well.
But
So now do you have a system in place where your floor would be much lower than your parents' garage, or are you still risking everything?
No. Part of that is by choice. Part of that is by design. That's why I said I'm a major big fan of Dave Ramsey, right? His principles don't apply unilaterally across everything. But I do think the principles apply. Like, why would you take out debt for a depreciating asset? Why take out debt for toys? Do people take out debts for vacations? Like, these things make no sense to me.
Right.
Right, but they do it. I mean, literally, they do it in droves. And we want to talk about student debt. Like, I get it. You money for school. First of all, we all know. I did it. I got friends that did it. I know kids in school right now doing it. Everybody knows that those loans are not just for school. They're getting laptops and Xboxes and PlayStations. They're paying to live off campus. They're buying cars. They're buying clothes. Right? Like, this is not just money just to go to school. Like, so, like, when people talk about wiping out student debt, the reason I get a little bit about it is because I know that's not just what that money was used for.
Sure, but that system is quite predatory, right? So we're
Yeah.
assuming that
Yeah.
you have to go to school to get a job.
And I disagree with that, by the way.
Let's talk about it. So
Yeah.
you have to take out this in order to get into the system to have a good job. You have to take out. You have to go to these schools, and if you don't have the option of having that money and paying for it, or having a scholarship or whatever it is, you kind of are held to feet to the flame to take these loans,
Listen,
right?
you guys bought your families, your grandparents, your great grandparents. They bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to go to school. I'm going to put you in debt.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we generate employees,
And create consumers.
subservient employees.
Yep.
I'm going to give you all these shiny things that you want to buy, and you're going to exchange your time to pay me back,
in the rest of your life.
and the rest of your life to pay
Yeah.
me back. Right?
with interest.
I'm going to put you. So if you look at at national average net worth today, a baby being born today that is debt free is wealthier by definition than the average American. Right? Like, we live in a debt society. Right? So that's my problem. Like, it's just like
Yeah.
you want to be a doctor and you got to go to school. What we really need is you have to be trained and you have to learn. You have to learn about biology. You have to learn about the human body. Right? I get that. But you don't have to be educated as far as not in the traditional sense. I think we should have a bigger focus on trade school. I think we should have
agree.
a bigger focus on the arts.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? If one of my kids wants to be a ballerina or a pianist or what, I don't care. I don't care. My job solely is, unfortunately, my mind is a little bit cursed. Everything comes back to problem-solving operations, and I'm thinking about the money. I would love it for them to be able to think about passion, something they're passionate about.
Well, I
right?
mean, sitting here with a guy who has been chasing passions professionally for 25 years.
He's done something right. He's got a paid-off house, right?
Well-
So now we just need to make one or two tweaks. He can still pursue his passions. Maybe he can hire a property management company to deal with the properties that Neil's going to help him buy, right? And it can still be low headache and low stress, and we can show him.
But
how
it looks like a headache and stress to you because you're unfamiliar with it, right? I mean, that's how I've always looked at it.
Well, there's
Yeah,
the thing
it's-
too with
I am unfamiliar, and my goal was to get to zero.
right. You did
for a
that.
long
So
time.
hey,
And then
congratulations.
And then I saved, and then it was like, all right, we want to renovate our kitchen, but I don't want to go into debt for that. We
Yeah.
pay off our credit cards to zero every
There you go.
month. And
There you go. Congratulations.
And so I saved up and then paid for
You
that.
sure you weren't a Dave Ramsey fan?
No, but I've listened. Those basic sort of things. I
Yeah.
know my parents had the book, and nobody ever follows it. You know what I mean? But it was like I just from watching them get into debt and get evicted from houses and
Listen.
drive shitty cars. It's like I am not gonna.
Do you have young kids in the house?
No. My boy's 16 now, so he's not
There you
even.
go. So you're a risk. Like, we would have off camera. I'd have a really sincere conversation with you about what your goals are first. I don't mean like goals. I'm trying to sell you some shit. I'm talking about like, what do you really want to go? And if your goal was to be debt free, great. It looks like you did it, or you're in the process of finishing it, right? And you got young kids. I'm going to say, hey man, we need to be a little bit more cautious about risking your personal home.
Right.
But you got people that can fend for themselves. You're at a perfect time, and I don't think you need to take out and leverage everything.
No.
But at the same point, let's manage the risk level. Like, obviously, you paid the mortgage the first time, and as long as you're physically capable and healthy enough to work, in theory, you should be able to pay it off a second time. But if you invest the money properly, even at factoring for a fail rate, you should be fine, right?
Yeah, I've done the opposite because I've always looked at the stock market like a roulette, like a craps table.
I'm not talking about.
Well,
the
no,
stock-
the stock
I'm not
market's-
talking about the stock
You know, I
market
think,
either.
and I think
It's
it's,
different.
and the same thing why I never really chased like
Now-
being in television and because I've always thought that it morally I think it's shitty and it's on the wrong side of.
Where do you get
what
that?
to do.
Yeah.
And I ask that because I think I know.
Because it's about dumbing it down to the least common denominator.
I agree. That's school
It's-
system for you.
Yeah, and it's the unless you're using the system,
You're being used by it.
you're being used by it.
I agree.
I think. Again, I read a book and I really get like the two books I've read on like Neil Postman's Entertaining Ourselves to Death and Jerry Mander's 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television. I think that at its core, it's not good for us, and I think that's been proven as it's become social media driven and blah,
See,
blah,
and-
blah.
and
So I
agree with
have
you.
a thing inside of me that obviously wants to be in it and famous and fucking have that stuff, but I also have that part of me that's like, in my core, it doesn't feel right. And I feel the same way about the stock market. It feels like it's wrong. Like I feel like as a society, we've, like union people, all of the workers put all their money into the stock market. That's their retirement. And part of what, if you own stock in your company, part of what makes the stock go up and more profitable is that they don't pay me as much anymore, or they get rid of my health care, or they, you know what I'm saying? So I'm cutting my own throat so that I can make for, it's all for profit.
I think that goes back to conversations and having conversations with people who are in different situations. I think, I would guess that your parents were pretty liberal.
No.
Not at all?
No.
Really?
What do you? I remember them. No, they were not.
I
remember them being like protesting, like when Ellen DeGeneres came out. They're like, we're no longer using Listerine, and I'm like, no. Not only are your opinions terrible, but they smell bad now.
Yeah, that's hilarious. What I mean? That's hilarious. Let me ask you a question. And we're just there's a million things you could do, but let's say you were to take a loan out against your house for $250,000, and you were to take and buy 2 townhouses for $125,000 each, approximately. And what do you think a fair rent is? Would you base that off of the market, or would you base it off of
what you could get?
What you could get, or would you just say, you know what, I think this is fair, and how would you make that assumption? How would you come to that conclusion? Because the market right now in that house is probably something like, on a rental, it's probably like $1,600 to $1,800, and depending on where you're at, a month in rent, right? So you can buy it, and your mortgage be, $550,
it's weird. I would have
$600.
no moral quandaries with charging them as much as I could get.
Well,
okay, but that's fine. So let's do that.
Paying
Well, those two townhouses would rent for $850, $900 a month.
Oh, more than that.
Easy. Well, in this area,
Colts just went. They're at $1,600 a month. There's none available.
Right, that is true.
Oh well,
Yeah.
There's none available. That's what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
but let's just say you're
People
a nice,
who upstairs from me.
we'll just say in a normal.
Let's say in a normal situation.
$950.
Let's say you get $950, right? So you rent both of them out.
Or $1,000 to keep it easy.
Yeah, there you go. You get $2,000 a month. Your mortgage is $1,200. You get $800 a month to the good. Okay, so you took risk. You risk your personal home, and you provided housing for someone else, right? And in exchange for that risk, you're going to have the positive cash flow of $800 a month, which is $9,600 a year. So you leveraged your home for $9,600 a year in positive cash flow. That's what we're really talking about. But that's not it. That's not the only way you make money. But some people would call that greed. But you risked your home.
Right.
You have to get something, right? And maybe you take that $900 a month and you go, you know what? With this $900 a month, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy 2 low-income housing apartments, and I'm going to provide low-income housing or senior housing with rent caps, and I'm going to put them on my own property. And I'm going to buy those, and because of this, I'm going to also give back. And I've still got, so now it's a net zero for you, at least at first, but over time, those properties are going to go up in value, right? And over time, remember, you're still paying back your loan with OPM, other people's money, right? That $1,200 a month. Then over time, your home is also being paid up. You can still accumulate a fortune while doing good.
And as soon as you have a certain amount of equity in all your properties, you can leverage that equity too and buy more properties.
Yeah, and so then you go to the bank, and basically what he's saying is you go pull money out, right? You could leverage to acquire more property, which is what he's talking about, to continue the cycle, or every 3 to 5 years, you go to the bank, you pull out your equity as a distribution to yourself. So every few years, and depending on the size of your portfolio, you could get the number, but let's say it's $100,000 every 5 years. Every 5 years, you go pull out $100,000, and you let your tenants pay it back. And that's a tax-free because it's not income. You're literally taking out a loan, which is debt, which debt is risk. So you take a $100,000 distribution every 5 years, and these are all fake numbers, but you could do it every 5 years, and you have to raise your rent slightly, which the good news is over time rents go up, and every so often you use it as a personal piggy bank. And then you take that money, and you have a choice. You go, well, do I live this to live my best retirement? Do I put this towards traveling and seeing the world with my family? Like, do I put this towards other causes, charitable causes that you like? Like, that's the fun part about it is, like, I'm definitely a capitalist, but I'm also a socialist when it comes to some elements of a socialist when it comes to my friends, my family, those people I care about. When I go in businesses, I tip at Wendy's. I tip everywhere. Like,
yeah, that annoys me.
Yeah.
I don't want to tip you at Dunkin' Donuts, dude.
You don't have
know what
to.
I mean? Like,
yeah. You don't have. No, I don't. I'm not being asked to tip.
You're such an asshole.
So that's why under the
Panda
system.
Express, dude. Come on, no. I'm
But
not tipping you.
that's why under
I tip
the
the waitress that does all the work.
As
I'm
someone
not giving
who
you
work-
20% because you handed me my pizza.
No, you shouldn't have to. I'm just saying I
Right,
have
yeah.
the option to. Like
you have the ability.
As
to.
someone who works a job based on tips,
But
I'm with Daniel on this one.
But in my
that's different
How is it different?
because you're
Those
a bartender.
people-
I just opened a bottle of water and handed it to you.
yeah.
actually, sometimes he doesn't.
But in
even
my
open the bottle.
construct,
That's
you
right.
wouldn't-
Fuck you.
It wouldn't matter.
Open your own bottle.
because they're making a salary and you're making because specifically I know you're making
'cause you
like
know me.
$2.01 an hour.
I'll make a what?
You're making whatever it is, $2.01 or $2.35.
Well, see, all of my bartenders, I pay them all at least double the minimum, normally triple the minimum
well,
rate.
I know not to tip those.
Yeah. Well, we don't tell people that, but that's the other thing is that I've generated money so I can be generous with it.
Right.
And the only core difference here is it's not that I don't like paying taxes. I'm going to legally avoid paying tax because the government is not efficient at using the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fact. It's not that I don't. I love the causes they're putting it towards. Like I give money to when my kids were in school, I made sure that they weren't eating school lunches. Like I had one incident where my child, it really pissed me off. And I literally went to the school and I said, here's money to put on. If any kid does not have money for school, I want them to be able to eat whatever it is that they would normally eat, not the peanut butter. I want them to have whatever meal that they can have, their snack, everything, and bill it to this. Let me know when it runs out of money. Right? Again, it's not that I have a problem. I'm not greedy.
How long before you ran out of money?
I did a couple, probably every 6-8 weeks, $1,000,
Huh.
Sometimes it went a little longer, and believe it or not, because the school is a zero-sum game, they have to balance. Every year they would refund me my money. Shortly after summer, they'd refund me my money, and I would tell them just leave it on there that we can't, and I'd have to redo it again the first year. But I would give it to the government if I thought they could do that efficiently, right? They're just not.
Yeah.
The government's less efficient than a lunchroom, a cafeteria.
Right.
The
just a
lunchroom
big- it's a
lady
big
works
bureaucracy.
better than
Yeah.
Congress.
No, I mean, but that's the truth. So, like, if the government, if I really, and this is not politically, but if the government was, like you just said earlier, Tom, you're like, man, you don't feel like you're being represented, so you think tax is theft. I kind of agree with that. Like, hey, man, if the government's not efficiently fighting for a cause I care about, well, the good news is I can put my own money towards it too.
Yeah.
And then, you have the argument. They're like, well, if we tax Bezos, it wouldn't matter how charitable he is. We'd have all the money.
No.
The money would pass through the government.
There's not enough money either.
And there's not enough money.
No.
So what Neil just said is, hey, if we valued the whole world, it's 500 quadrillion.
Yes.
I like that coming
quadrillion.
up with a whole new system. But
Yep.
that's just you're just
We just need to
so-
change
so
the
much
construct.
smarter than I can kind
Yeah,
of get
but-
my head around.
It's all a construct.
Well, that's where you got to figure out what's the first step, and it's yoga.
Yeah, I agree. So I think on this podcast we've decided
Yoga
we've
and
solved the
mushrooms.
problem.
Yoga,
It's yoga, mushroom, maybe some medicinal help.
Psychedelics and meditation is where we live.
Anyway, another day, another conversation. I would love to
We
talk
could've
to you about
started that.
investing your $250,000 or whatever you're going to do, and at no cost.
It would be cool to actually
sales
do that,
pitch.
and then
Yeah.
You'll check in every few months.
Yeah, we'll make a video
see how
out
it's
of it.
going.
Yeah, we'll make a video out
Tom
of it.
will be fucking bald, pulling his hair out all the time. He's so stressed out. The market's crazy, and
Nah, man.
the
You know
new
what?
Avengers movie's fucking me. He has no idea what's happening.
Was it Scarlett Johansson who
He'll
had to
be
sue
like,
Disney?
yeah.
You're gonna have to sue Disney. Yeah,
He'll be like that Kramer guy, the stock guy.
Mad Money.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
That'll be the show.
I enjoyed it. I
did too.
that's good. We're
That's
gonna.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And also, hopefully Eric's show will be out soon.
It's coming up soon. Yeah, we're working on it.
And
yeah.
as soon as that
Working
comes out, we're
diligently.
going to start producing Tom's show.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I am too. Now
Get
that I
James
know,
Hodge in here for a sec.
there we go.
Regularly.
I like Hodge a lot.
Yeah.
I just
Me too.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I liked watching Hodge and Neil go at it for like an hour. I literally was the quietest I've ever been. I was just sitting there. Like, Neil would
I've
look at me.
watched-
I'd be like, I'm just enjoying the shit
I've
out of
watched
this.
it a few times. That's good.
So, but I enjoy it. But yeah, we should do like a case study. You're gonna have to use property manager because you're not gonna want stress. But yeah,
Right, yeah. It's
Let's
only
make,
10%
let's make
too,
Tom
so it's worth it.
rich. We'll do it with Tom first, and then we'll see. Or, then I'll put my $50 in.
I need to take. For real. The reason I'm thinking about this stuff too is because I might be splitting my assets in half shortly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and whichever one of us sort of comes up with half
Whoever
the house
wins.
first gets to keep it.
Well, let's shake it up really good, man. Let's make it
Do you want
interesting.
the house? Again,
I kind of like my life.
I'm going to tell everybody out there,
You're wrong.
to think about the objective, right? The objective is like what other people want is irrelevant. What do you want?
Yeah.
Like I like the life I have, but it's not for everybody. I work 100 hours a week. I have for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm very stressed.
My time spent, I don't want it to be spent on how do I make money. I want to
Exactly.
spend my time being creative and writing and writing
There you
jokes.
go.
And that's
So
talking.
also
That's
you-
figuring out the objective.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then
That's-
from there,
yeah.
and then I want my money to obviously work for me
The
and blah, blah,
only-
blah. But
only reason you
ultimately, I want to
invest-
be a comedian. Still.
Well, then if that's the answer, then what you have to look at is, do you have enough money coming in that you can focus fully on that and not on other things? And if the answer is no, then you need to take what you do have to create some type of income, even if it's just enough to sustain you so you can chase your passion.
Yeah.
Your goal is not to get rich. If that happens, it's a happy byproduct, but it was never the intention, right? That's okay.
right.
Like I would,
Should really never be the intention anyway.
yeah. I mean, like it's fine. Like I like to solve problems.
He's
this-
passionate about business. That's,
I am. I love-
he enjoys
Yes.
business.
constantly.
And
it's a curse.
You
It's
said
a
earlier
curse.
about getting the people, what people are passionate about around
Yeah.
them. That's sort of what I would like. I would like to. I have ideas for how to. So does Eric about how to create
Yeah.
the idea so that we can do
That
comedy
book
for the
is
rest
full
of
of
our lives.
dopamine hits.
Yes.
Everything.
So it's like
Yeah.
to me, it's about being able to surround myself with people that can do the shit that I need done. Like
Well,
I
and
need
that's the-
someone
that's
that's
the thing,
great
right?
at the internet. I need someone that's great at promotion. I need someone that's great at
Yeah.
getting,
And as a performer
Getting
and
my flights
artist,
booked.
as a performer and artist and a comedian, you've been kind of taught that you're supposed to do everything by yourself. And really, we do need
So
teams.
stupid.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do need
100%.
a group of people. We need people who figure out what you're passionate about and then plug that into the whole system so we can all work together and,
Right,
and create
yeah.
stuff.
And,
that's what you're starting to work on.
That's what I'm
yeah.
trying to do. It's a lot of fucking energy and work trying to find the people because I do want to find the people who want it as bad as I do, and turns out in different positions you don't want the same things,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
just got to find those people.
And I know we're trying to wrap up, but you should look into the Giving Pledge, right? Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, I believe, are the ones that started it. But they're committing to give some of them 99% of their wealth when they pass. They're not going to their children are not going to inherit it. They're going to give it to charities, right? They're donating to each of their causes. But my point is that you can be generous. I've got, and this is not, man, I'm going to catch shit for this, but if the sole purpose was money, I have enough where I can just kick back and go find a beach or a lake
Tell everybody to fuck off.
and I'm good, and my kids are good. Like, actually, what I'm working on, if we're talking about, like, now I've got things that I'm extremely passionate. I got these massive projects I want to do, and it's not for the sake of making more money, right? Like, and then you really start to figure out, like,
You want to be a creative force.
yeah, and I really want to.
Yeah.
There are some really awesome things that I would like to do for people that I care about and organizations that I care about and things. So, like, that's the thing. Like, if you work hard, that's one thing. But if you don't work smart, it won't matter how hard you work.
Right.
Yeah.
And the problem, like me, I look at a lot of people and I go, man, they're working real hard, but they're not working smart.
That's how. I
And then
I
they're
think
waiting-
I feel that about my
Yeah.
being a stand-up. I've refused to learn the business.
Yeah.
I've just because I want to be on and
It
it's-
isolates
it's
you from
benef-
the creativity
yeah,
in some ways.
It's benefited me in like the way I keep writing towards whatever I want to write towards.
Yeah.
But it's also business-wise, it's a fucking mess.
Well, you guys do a valuable service. I haven't gotten up. I would love to do it. Not that I think I'm going to be good at it. I just think it would be. I think it'd be fun. I think
You make Tom a millionaire, and he'll write you 5 jokes. It
Yeah.
all
Well,
evens out.
The kind I am, like, I would enjoy a shit of it, but you guys provide a valuable service. I go to those the Thursday nights typically, and I mean, I've been to more comedy in the last like year than I've been in the last 10 years, and it's therapeutic. There's a service there because when you even sometimes people bombing is funny. Right?
Of course.
And I love the courage it takes. I love people like getting up and doing something, and I take great. I'm proud of them. They don't even know who I am. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm proud of them for like facing their fear and getting up and getting out of their comfort zone and talking about something maybe that's painful for them. Right? Like, so I see it, and I'm like, and I know everybody's not me, but you may be touching somebody and not even know it. Right? Like you're just up there working through your shit, and you think I'm just trying to work this joke out. Right? but you don't know the positive that you're doing out there. Like, and that's why, like, when I look at Chappelle or these other people, like, I try my best to, if I even start to get offended, I'm like, well, what the fuck am I getting offended about? It's a joke. It's a
it's just not for you.
It's
and it's good to question everything.
Yeah.
It's for the people who it's for. And
I like what you guys do. I mean, I love it. I can't do it because
Because you say can't.
No,
well, it's because you lose money doing it.
Is all I can think about is the money.
Yeah.
All I can think about is the business of comedy, not the enjoyment of comedy. All right, and this is what I say.
Well, he can't think about the enjoyment of comedy either. Right? It's more of a compulsion for you, and you enjoy it when it goes well.
Right.
And you enjoy the suffering part of the process because you do like to suffer a bit.
Yeah, I've also, but I don't know. I've got to a different place. I noticed this weekend where it's like I just like. You know what I mean? I used to be worried about every word and is it in the right order? And did I kill every, and now I'm just like, I don't know. I'm way more relaxed about it.
I got to ask you, I don't know you well enough to ask this, but I'm going to ask it because it's a good way for us to bond. Divorce is your fault or hers?
Time.
Yes.
Yes.
You guys have been married.
Answer.
You've been married a while, right?
We've been together 25 years. We've been married 21.
Whew,
So
wow.
it's.
I mean, nothing could have gone wrong.
I think it's a stack of resentments that have sort of now got to the top.
If you know anybody that long.
Yeah, no, 100%. And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
54.
So almost half your life.
Yeah.
How's it going to be without her?
It's going to be fucking miserable.
Yeah.
For a couple years at least.
Yep. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want it to. But I don't know if that's really up to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Obviously she's wonderful, and I've obviously not treated her as if she's the most wonderful because there's, like I told, which is probably not smart either. I was like, you're 88.5% of a perfect woman, which sounds good to coming out of my mouth until it does. And then I'm like, oh shit, that's not a good thing to say.
No, but I mean, that's why I asked, because we all have stuff, man. I've been with Jessica for 19 years, and I've got stuff, man. And actually, the ones you love the most are usually the ones you're the shittiest to sometimes, right?
Well, it's because you know they're not going to leave you.
Right? Plus, you're giving her 8.8. That's pretty high. I wish my wife would give me an 8.8.
Yeah. I treat my wife like the bank
6.5.
treats America, man. Like, I go to the bank with the America goes to the bank and they take $100, they turn it into $1,000. I do the same thing with my wife. I'm like, hey, baby, it's 10 inches. I mean, like, it's one soft, but it's 10 hard, baby.
Inflation.
It's inflation, baby.
I'm pretending that there's 10 times more.
That's
than
not
this.
real either.
And we end on a dick joke.
Yeah, full circle. But no, I wish the best. I would say what's your objective, and I would do what you got to do to accomplish the objective. Your objective is to stay with her, then figure out what that means.
Yeah, that's my
You only
goal
can-
is to do that, but I don't know if that's up to me.
You can only control your side of it, right?
Yes,
At the end of the day, she has free will, unfortunately. So
Right.
you got to do what you got to do. But I'm sure that there's probably certain things, but they may be deal breakers, right? She's a Republican, isn't she?
She is not.
Oh, well, see, there
She
you go.
ons guns.
Does she really?
I don't know.
Also,
What?
your wife looks like a pretty tough woman, though. I saw that video.
She's a badass. She's great at
Yeah.
great
She
at
was
so
fixing
much.
the car and you were in the back painting or
Yes.
something.
Maybe that's the thing. When he's a real man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also, you guys could let Daniel help you with the investing the equity in your house. Maybe that'd be something that would bring you guys closer together.
Maybe she needs
Buying
to
some
see
real estate.
a real asshole, and she'd probably be thankful.
Yeah, I've not disappointed you. No, but I'm like,
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that. Like, I'm not that bad.
You're a good dude, man.
I'm type A as they come, but I've softened up a lot.
Is that age?
A whole lot, yeah.
No, it's
Being a dad,
self-reflection, I think. Also just trying to look at things from other people's perspectives, and then trying to feel the pain I've caused other people over the years. I think that's, and just trying to look at it from if I sit here, I'm a problem solver. Like, I'm literally, if I asked enough questions, I'd figure out exactly what you really want, not what you think you want, but what you really want to do in life. And then that means, okay, then it's a linear line, right? It's a linear solution. It's literally, you're here and you want to be here. So many people go in opposite directions of what their end goal is.
Right.
Like, they go, oh, I want to spend time on the beach. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I'm going to go work corporate America for 40 years. My dad would say, oh, I'm going to work 40 years for 40% of what I'm worth so I can retire on 40% of what I couldn't live on during that time. Right? It makes no sense. None. If your goal is here, then you need to create a linear solution that takes you straight to that goal in the short amount of time possible. Right? But so many people go around their ass to get to the solution, and they waste their life doing it.
It's also a bad construct. It's too hard to do okay.
Yeah,
it's very difficult. That's.
Yeah, I agree. So, either way, it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yes. I did think of I wanted to run an idea by you that I had. Speaking of the divorce and stuff, like just this goofy joke idea I have that I don't really have yet, but it's when the Bible says love thy enemy, is that marriage advice?
That's funny.
That's good.
That's awesome.
God damn it, Tom.
I like that joke. I gotta
Tom
ask
Simmons,
now.
everybody.
Tom Simmons. Are you religious, or is that a?
Boy.
No. I've gone through waves of being not religious but very spiritual.
Spiritual. I like spiritual better. Okay.
Yeah, it's another.
No offense to all you religious fuckers.
It's
out
another
there, but
2-hour conversation.
Yes.
It's another 2-hour conversation we'll have with Tom.
We got to do this again. I think we're
for
breaking
sure.
records over here for the length of the.
I'm on the Church of